Good evening. We are beginning with breaking news at this hour. We are tracking a rapidly growing wildfire near Williams Lake Road. This is south of Cheney. Right now we know the fire has already burned about 30 acres and it is going quickly. We are told right now by the Department of Natural Resources there are level 3 evacuations in place in that area. We're working to confirm exactly where those boundaries are. We will also make sure to bring you additional information. We do have a crew who is working in that area right now. They're working to get additional information, and we'll bring you that as soon as we have it. In the meantime, thank you for joining us here for KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Whitney Ward. We are also following a breaking news situation in Spokane Valley this afternoon. One person has died after a fire inside a triplex in the Spokane Valley. KREM 2's Nathan Hyun is live at the scene tonight. Nathan, what can you tell us?
Well, Whitney, one woman is confirmed dead after a fire broke out here at one of these houses that's part of this triplex on Clinton Street and 32nd Avenue. And the fire was first reported at 11:19 this morning. And according to Spokane Fire, only one person was in the house when the fire broke out. The fire did not spread to any of the other houses in this triplex. Firefighters were able to put out the fire in about 10 minutes, and one neighbor who rushed home tried to help whoever might have been stuck inside.
Back there in my apartment, I heard a bunch of sirens. I came out here and it was full of fire trucks, and I come out here and they were trying to revive somebody. A little unsettling, a little weird, you know, I feel bad.
And in order to get the person trapped inside, firefighters smashed through the living room windows. The person inside was pulled out and CPR was attempted but died at the scene. No firefighters or official personnel were injured during the fire. And so this still remains an active scene. The people from the medical examiner's office came down to see what exactly caused the fire, and we still don't know, how the person died yet either. Live in Spokane Valley, Nathan Hyun, KREM 2 News.
Well, an early morning robbery in Spokane Valley turned into a deadly event. 5-hour-long standoff today. One of the alleged robbery suspects was killed by law enforcement after refusing to get out of his car near downtown Spokane. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley is joining us now live from that scene, where she's joining us now with the latest. Amanda?
Yeah, Whitney, the robbery that happened early this morning in Spokane Valley and the subsequent fatal shooting that happened here in Spokane are both very active investigations. Now, since the shooting involved 2 officers and a Spokane County deputy, police are only able to provide very limited information at this time. So here's what we know so far. Reports of a robbery in Spokane Valley came in at about 1 this morning. Deputies searched for the suspect vehicle and believed one of the 3 suspects was armed. Now, Spokane police found the suspect vehicle near downtown Spokane, and they say 2 people got out of the car and ran away, but police did detain them. Now, soon after this, the suspect vehicle crashed on East 3rd. Spokane police say the driver refused to get out of the van and shot at police, who also returned fire. One officer suffered a minor injury but was treated and released from the scene. Now, the standoff lasted about 5 hours. Spokane Police Chief Craig Meidel says a fire started near the suspect's van. He says the suspect, who was still armed, then got out of the van and appeared to be looking to target officers. That's when 2 police officers and 1 sheriff's deputy shot at the suspect, who died at the scene. Now, I want to be clear, SPD is investigating the Spokane Valley robbery, but Washington State Patrol is the agency investigating the officer-involved shooting. Still, WSP confirmed that Christopher Jones and Christopher Gooch are the 2 robbery suspects SPD originally detained. Now, according to the Spokane County inmate roster, they are now both charged with first-degree robbery. I also checked in with Department of Corrections, and they say between the 2, Gooch and Jones have served time in prison for stolen vehicle, theft, and forgery charges. Now, we still don't know much about what happened at the robbery in Spokane Valley. All WSP was able to tell me at this time is that the robbery happened near the Oxford Suites in Spokane Valley, but we are hoping to learn more information once these 2 suspects appear in court tomorrow. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. And new tonight, our investigative team has uncovered new information about the state's plans to suspend the licenses at Daybreak Youth Services in Spokane. Daybreak is a live-in drug treatment center that serves children and teens. KREM 2 obtained official documents from the Washington Department of Health investigation detailing allegations against a skills coach at Daybreak who works with underage girls. Records state reports that the male employee engaged in inappropriate contact and boundary violations, including using prison sign language to tell one client he loved her. He's also accused of interacting with those young girls through his personal social media pages and asking clients for hugs and talking to them about their bodies. Documents state when informed of grievances against him, that employee then engaged in retaliation and bullying. DOH says the intent to suspend was filed because Daybreak refused to cooperate with its investigation. Records show an initial inquiry found the employee did not violate Daybreak's code of ethics, but during later investigations, they questioned why Daybreak did not report certain client and staff complaints. Investigators claim Daybreak refused access to complete client records and prevented access to evidence requested by the state. Daybreak now has 28 days to request a hearing before the suspension takes effect. Just moments ago, we got the latest update from the Spokane County Elections Office on the Washington primary results from last night. The top two candidates from each race, regardless of party, will now move on to the general election in November. So let's take a look at where those local races stand at this hour. In the race for Spokane County Sheriff, longtime Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich has announced that he is not seeking re-election this year. He is retiring and moving to Wyoming. John Knowles is the current undersheriff, and he leads the vote, as you can see right now, with 56%, followed by the second person coming in is Wade Nelson. He currently has 28% of the vote. And in Spokane County, there are 4 candidates running for the position of prosecutor. And incumbent Larry Haskell right now being challenged by 3 other candidates, all 3 women. And this has been a very close race so far. And actually, you can see Larry Haskell is not coming in first tonight, having 27% of the vote compared to Deb Conklin, who is coming in first with 28% tonight. All right, let's take a look at some of the statewide races at this hour. We begin with the race for U.S. Senate. Patty Murray is the incumbent, of course. She is currently in the lead clearly with 54% of the vote against Republican Tiffany Smiley, who has 32%. And the AP is calling that one, saying that Murray and Smiley will face off in November. Now to the U.S. House of Representatives 5th District race. Kathy McMorris Rogers running for her 9th term. She currently has 51% of the vote, followed by Democrat Natasha Hill, who has 30%. The AP also has called that race and say those two will be the ones moving on to the November general election. Now we move to the U.S. House of Representatives 4th District race. This is incumbent Dan Newhouse, who was one of only 10 House members who voted to impeach President Trump. He is now facing a lot of challenges, even a number of Republican challengers as well. Newhouse now leading with 27% of the vote, but followed very closely by Doug White with 26% tonight. Now let's look at the Secretary of State race here in Washington. Democrat Steve Hobbs currently holds this position, trying to hold on to it now. He was appointed by Governor Jay Inslee just last year. Hobbs right now has 41% of the vote, the next closest challenger being Julie Anderson right now with 13% of the vote. We are continuing to track election results from all across the state. You can also go and get the latest results on our website, KREM.com. Remember, for the latest updates on all of the races, you can text the word results to 509-448-2000, and we'll send a link to our live election update. All right, let's switch gears now to something else that is very top of mind right now, and that is the forecast. We are seeing some cooler temperatures this week, but right now we are still under that red flag warning as the winds continue to be a challenge, certainly a challenge as crews are trying to get the upper hand on that wildfire growing out near Cheney tonight. So let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Legoo, who is outside. Does it feel as breezy as it was, and how much of a challenge is this going to be for the next several hours?
It stays breezy for the rest of the evening. Whitney, we do actually have a live look at that wildfire. Let's take that now and see what's going. Wow. Ooh. You can see all of the smoke, and look at that smoke blowing. It is windy. You can hear the wind there, and that wind is fanning the flames. Quick update on what we've got on the ground there. Winds sustained at 13 and 19 miles per hour at the 2 closest weather stations to that fire. To put it in perspective, just kind of south of Cheney, just off to the east of Sprague. That's where that fire is currently burning. And look at this. This is kind of interesting. That right there is actually not rain. What you're looking at in the atmosphere is actually that smoke being picked up by the radar. Radar is sweeping through, picking up that particulate in the atmosphere, and it's coming back as a signature of rain, but that is actually the smoke from that wildfire that's still growing and being fanned by those flames. Let that be a stark reminder that red flag warnings are in place for a reason. Critical fire danger exists through this evening. Not until wind dies down do we lose some of that fire danger. And even as wind dies down tonight, stays rather breezy tomorrow thanks to a cold front moving through. Now, as this cold front moves in, we will watch that cooler air make its way in. That's what's going to bring about that drop in temperatures the next couple of days. But wind stays rather strong. Even overnight, wind gusts in the teens, dropping from the 30s. So it basically divides in half as we get there. Right now, temperatures are up near 90 degrees, and in the days to come, the wind eventually dies down, but not until Friday, and overnight, we fall back into the low 60s.
All right, Jeremy, thank you very much. Well, the decision to pause Idaho's restrictive abortion law is now in the hands of Idaho's Supreme Court. The court heard arguments just today about how to proceed with two lawsuits that were filed by Planned Parenthood. One of the suits targets Idaho's trigger law. The other targets the Texas-style fetal heartbeat bill that would make abortion illegal after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Both laws are set to go into effect on August 25th unless the Supreme Court issues a stay and puts a pause on those laws while the court decides where those lawsuits go from here. So here are the key questions right now that the court is considering. Should the court put both laws on hold while the two cases are pending? Should the two cases perhaps be consolidated into a single case? Should either or both of the cases be transferred down to the district court level for trial before being then taken up by the high court in the state? As soon as the court does make a decision, we'll bring you the latest updates. Today, President Biden signed another executive order aimed at protecting abortion rights. The executive order now directs the Secretary of Health and Human Services to consider action to advance access to reproductive health care services, including through Medicaid, improve research on maternal health outcomes, and ensure health providers comply with federal law, which could include technical assistance for doctors who may be confused in the wake of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade as they navigate new state restrictions. Kansas voters overwhelmingly rejected an effort last night to eliminate the state's abortion protections, a resounding victory for abortion rights advocates in a conservative state. Kansas voters rejected that ballot measure that would have eliminated constitutional protections for abortion in the state by 59%. It was the first time voters had a direct say on the issue since Roe v. Wade was overturned.
What was at stake was our constitutional rights and our freedom. And so, a coalition of voters across the political spectrum came together today and voted no.
So turnout was significantly higher than expected for a primary contest in that state. Still to come tonight here on KREM 2 News, Alex Jones facing questions on the stand today about his role in starting the Sandy Hook denier conspiracy. What he had to say is next.